I got the new My Dream palette by Natasha Denona, and I have lots of swatch comparisons for you. Let's get started with the first one, which is a black shade. Interesting formula. And then we have this shade Aspiration. Not as smooth and buttery as I expected. I'm gonna go in a couple of times. Actually, I want to compare this to this black shade from the Glam palette, but it seems like it's a little bit more ashy. I'm taking this shade from the Retro palette. It is similar but warmer, but it also felt a little bit smoother. Okay, next one is called Serendi. Going to grab Jude from the Retro palette and see if it's similar or not. And let's see. It's a little bit cooler tone. I'm gonna grab another one from the Retro palette. I would say this one's a bit darker and more rusty. I'm gonna grab one from the Glam palette. Oh yeah, that's completely different. Here, let's take another one. And yeah, they're not really similar to that one. How about this one from the Love palette? Yeah, they're all different. So couldn't really find a match from my palettes. Ooh, up next is this beautiful shade called Carpe Diem. I'm gonna see if this one from Retro, the Vivian shade, no, that's way too light. Maybe Go Go from Retro. That looks similar. And this is Amara from Retro. That seems a bit darker. And let's try one more. Rebellion. Yeah, no. Let's put on Go Go. Go Go might have a little bit more pink in it. Couldn't find anything from the Love palette either. Up next is this shade Babies. I'm sure I'm going to find something similar. That one looks pretty similar from the Retro palette. It's the Helio shade. Yeah, that's pretty much the same. So from the first row, I only found one that is duplicated. Up next is Instinct. I thought there would be something from the Love palette, but couldn't find anything in here. So going back to the Retro palette, I don't see anything in here either. These berry tones in the Retro palette are deeper, darker, more muted compared to the berry tones in the My Dream palette. So as you can see, nothing matches. Up next is Thrill, and it feels so smooth and beautiful. I think it's similar to these two shades from the Retro palette. You don't see too much pink in the sunlight, but I'm gonna bring you over to the shade. Here you can see the pink in Thrill, which is very interesting. Okay, so now I'm swatching Unity. Very pretty shade. Nothing from the Retro palette matched. So moving on to the next one, it's called Risk. Now this shade looks really unique compared to the palettes that I have. So moving on to the next one called Invention. Taking something from the Love palette that looks exactly the same. Okay, moving on to the next row, there's obviously nothing like this. This is a shifty shade called Vision, and then we have this shade called Edgy. Again, a berry tone, but super bright, similar to the other berry tone in the same palette. And then we have Spontaneous, very creamy and smooth. Let's take some from the Glam palette, or maybe a bunch of them from the Glam palette. They all look the same. Yep, that's definitely duplicated. Then we have Nurture. Hard to work with, it seems like, but I found something similar from the Glam palette, but not exactly the same. Here's another one from the Glam palette. Now this one's too dark. Nothing from the Retro palette either. So moving on to the last shade, Familia. It's a nice warm brown, and I don't think there's anything similar to that I have. So the berry tones in this palette are very different from the berry tones in the Retro palette. And overall, I would say the only thing that really matched is this taupey shade and a brown shade. Otherwise, the berry tones are different, the peachy warm tones are different. It's really not that similar to the Retro palette. So if you're thinking about getting this palette, go for it. Thanks for watching. Bye.